Hello and welcome back to the Fan Zone on this Sunday, the final day of the 2023 Lemire National Dressage Championships with me, Sam Lloyd. And as promised, we've got some fantastic guests who are with us on this final day here in the wonderful Somerford Park in Cheshire. So I'm delighted now to be joined by Emma Blundell and Amy Woodhead. Morning to you both, ladies.
Morning.
How are we?
Morning.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Good couple of days?
Yeah, it's been brilliant. Yep, up to now. Hopefully today's going to be the best one.
There's something very special about the National Championships. We've spoken to our guests about the significance of this in the equestrian calendar, but it's a great opportunity to catch up with people, take part, see what's going on. It is definitely a highlight, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously this year, Mount St John got asked to do the demo on the first 2 days, so that was really nice to showcase some horses that aren't competing here as well. So yeah, that was really great.
How'd you find that?
Yeah, we loved it. It was an honour to be asked and to be invited. And like Amy said, we obviously brought different horses that weren't able to compete. Otherwise, it would be too intense asking the young ones to sort of have the stamina all the way through to perform at their best at the weekend. But yeah, it was really nice to bring younger ones and horses that people probably wouldn't get the chance to see otherwise, that would be back home training and maturing.
And of course, for the younger horses, we've mentioned it quite a bit with our guests, an opportunity to actually savour and experience the atmosphere of the arena, which is so important.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I've brought a horse that had only come in from the field like 2 weeks before, and he's behaved impeccably, like amazing. He's still in the stables now. I took him for a hack today. Like, it's invaluable, the experience that you can give them, even when you're not competing. So to go in with no pressure in the main arena was fantastic for both of the young ones, to not have pressure from the riders to perform in a way in a competition environment, but just to showcase them and be able to walk when you need to, or let them have a walk and see the arena. And I feel that that's really made them mature, and we'll probably take 2 different horses home.
Because of course, when you train at home, it's very, very different on the day of competing in this kind of environment and just hoping everything comes together, right?
Yeah, and it's all the different factors, whether it's even just the stabling and things like that. You know, those horses had never stabled away from home to a competition environment. So that's all part of what they need to be able to do in their career as a dressage horse. But obviously that's introduced as and when they're ready for it, and that was a really nice experience to be able to give them this week.
Definitely. I'm excited to take this one home. Now,
you must be so proud.
Absolutely,
I mean, they've really
thrilled with him.
performed brilliantly.
And mine was like 25 hands with me on, because he was really tall, and obviously I'm not very tall. But he's behaved amazing. He's going to be a super competition horse in the future, because nothing's phased him. But when he went in the arena, he really lit up and kind of lapped it up, people watching him. But in the stables, he's been asleep and calm and really enjoyed
Loving
the
life.
I've literally just taken him for a hack. It's probably his first hack he's like had all summer, because he's been in the field, probably not ever had, but certainly a new place, new environments, there's cars coming in, so we just took him with an older one now, and again the experience was fantastic for him.
Oh, brilliant news. Let's talk about Mount St John Stud, because how long, you're the founder, how long's that's been going on for? Just tell us a little bit, give us a bit of background information.
Yeah, so I started the stud 10 years ago now, when I finished university. But before that, I was breeding 1 or 2 a year just whilst I was still studying. So I studied business management and then decided to apply it to the horse side and really start the business when I finished my university. So yeah, 10 years now.
Wow, a decade. I mean, you're a huge driving force behind British bred dressage horses, but are you quite surprised just how successful it's become? And obviously you're both of you, great advocates and ambassadors for it.
Yeah, I think it was obviously, part of the plan to have a lot of different horses competing and throughout the different levels, and then to be able to sell them. But I think it's definitely happened a lot faster and more widespread than I thought. So there's a lot more international sales than I initially expected, and success overseas. And but I really enjoy that, because I love traveling as well, and I've met amazing people through it. So it's been a really nice aspect to sort of combine the two together.
And Amy, with your wealth and experience as well, obviously contributing to this, it's a very exciting time, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. I didn't go to university, so I'm from a completely different background to Emma. We are horsey, and mine and my sister's backgrounds were for our university to go and work on yards and actually be extremely hands-on in it. So having then met Emma, who has come from a different way from university to try and run the business, I think it's been fantastic, because I've been very hands-on within the sport, and then Emma's come with an idea of how she can then grow her business. I think then when we have conversations, it works really well, and then we can be honest, like, actually I feel with this one, or that's probably not going to work in the industry as such, because it's still very new, as you like, in Emma's business. However, when she says it's grown a lot faster, now having known Emma, who is literally the most optimistic person I've ever met, like, we can travel 5 countries in one day and see 25 different shows and ride 95. We actually get it done, so I feel that it was always going to grow that fast.
So you obviously complement one another in terms of your experiences
Yeah.
of the industry, and it obviously works.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I think, and we have a lot of very honest conversations where we discuss things and bounce ideas, and I think we have a lot of respect for each other, so it's quite easy to then see things from a different viewpoint when somebody has a different opinion for something.
And I think it's just really important that the biggest thing for me is just to be extremely versatile in everything, what horses I ride, or the plans always change when you're running a business in the horse world, or needing to run a business in the horse world like Emma wants to. So it's based on sales and producing, and so it means at one point we could be producing them, but next week there may be a sale as well, so we have to be open to all of those things.
I mean, as you mentioned, Amy, your background kind of coming into the industry, working in yards, and I know that you had a stint with Carl Hester, and that must have been invaluable in terms of what you learned.
Oh, absolutely. It was next to none of the experiences that I could possibly wish for. I think when I was younger, I had a dream once that I worked for Carl Hester, and I woke up and I thought, gosh, that'll never happen. And then it did happen, and I did initially go as a groom, so I met Carl through grooming at shows, because I really enjoy being so hands-on with the horses, being able to deal with them on the floor more so than even being able to ride them, which is definitely helped me run my own business at home, being able to do that. But yeah, working for Carl was amazing. Every day, there's not a day that goes by that I think, what would Carl do, or how did he deal with that problem, whether it's from a ridden or a running the yard. And I'm still very close to him. I still feel I can ask him, and he's still very much of a mentor and an idol for me. I mean, he's been fantastic. He's better and better all the time.
He's a great ambassador for the
Amazing
sport,
for the
isn't
sport,
he?
yeah.
And as you mentioned, we all need mentors,
Yes.
Yeah.
especially when we're embarking on a new business venture.
Yes.
We all need that to store and capture those little nuggets of knowledge and information, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, like, even at the Nationals when I worked for him, I did my first 4-year-old round at the Nationals, and I also did my first few Grand Prix for him. So literally from the breaking in process to the Grand Prix test riding, I did do all of that there. So it wasn't just one little, I didn't take my horse and just get one little bit of information. I got a whole pool of information that I'll hold with me forever.
Let's talk about the FEI World Breeding Championships. And I know, and rightly so, smiling from ear to ear, because huge success. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously, it's always an honour to be invited and to be qualified to represent your country, but to do that with a homebred was very special, because we went together, I think,
So we were trying to do 6 or 7 years ago on
with another horse that I bought as a foal that Amy rode for us, but to do it a few years later then with a homebred was really special. And she obviously did very well.
Yeah.
And so she's on track at the moment. She won the first round of the 5-year-olds yesterday, and so we have the finals this afternoon with the test rider. So hopefully she stays on the top spot. But yeah, really exciting.
It must give you such ultimate pride of what you guys are doing. And do you think it helps, because we're facing a real kind of purple patch of British dressage? Obviously, London 2012, but then obviously Europeans recently. British dressage is leading the way. And do you think that helps with your business, because people are striving for those British bred dressage horses because of the success at the elite level?
Yeah, I think absolutely it has to have a knock-on effect and gain a lot of respect compared to where we were 10, 20 years ago, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
And I think hopefully now people do look to more at home or on, you know, in the UK for horses, because a couple of years ago or up to a few years ago, definitely people would travel abroad to find a young one or an older one, but we actually have fantastic bloodlines now in the UK. You know, the UK has, in all aspects, in the ridden, the competition and the breeding side, really upped its game. So there are a lot of quality horses within the UK if people just take the time to go to the correct places. And
I think it's often overlooked what's on your doorstep. And I think it's easier for more outsiders that are abroad to respect and recognise that quicker than perhaps even the people in their own market. So I do think that's more of an international recognition rather than necessarily such a national thing, actually.
You both exude real passion
Yeah.
and commitment. Did you find when you started this venture, was it hard to get that recognition, what you've alluded to, or did you find that it was just networking, getting the message out there, very much not national but an international element?
I think for me personally, it was always about the proofs in the pudding. So I think if you can deliver that and repeatedly do so, then the respect comes. And I don't think you can command or expect it without that. And so for us, it's just all about working together and always wanting to improve and do better. And whatever we're doing now, we want to be better next year and in 5 years to have progressed even further. So I think that's always, as with anything, whether you're riding a test or the breeding or the management of the horses, it's always got to have continuous improvement. And I think if you're able to deliver that consistently, whatever industry you're in, hopefully then at some point you get the recognition and respect for that.
And that's where the company's still quite green in a way. So the horses, I mean, we've just mentioned that we went to our first World, 7 years ago. So realistically, that horse technically is still not very old. So we're still working with quite a few younger ones. So we're still at the stage of each year, actually now that one's finding this really easy, or that one finds that one a little bit harder. So every year you then learn more about the mare, which is what Emma's business is, to then decide what stallion you put to the mare for the next year to hopefully try and get the two strengths out of the horses. So you can only really tell that sometimes the older they get and the more experiences they have, or where they are in the training, as to what they find easier. So one might really enjoy like the small tour level but find Piaffe and Passage a little harder. So then that's kind of Emma's job essentially, for me to say, this one finds this one really hard, please can you go and find a horse that excels in that, to then put that mare and that stallion together.
Yeah, and I think for me as well, we've got to remember that we are focusing on riding horses. So even the youngest horses that we're competing here are 4 and 5 years old. So they're ones that were conceived 5-6 years ago. And when we're talking about a Grand Prix horse, the youngest are 9 or 10. So we're talking a decade before planning. And so it's a very long-term plan, waiting game and management process between us to get those horses to that stage. So that part is still evolving all the time.
Ladies, you're so immersed in the sport, in the industry. Very special year 2023, 25 years of British dressage. Considering your involvement, that must make you incredibly excited and indeed proud to be part of this wonderful sport.
Yeah,
extremely, extremely, and it does make us proud to be British, and that the sport's evolving all the time, and we're definitely up there in the medals, not just in the seniors this year. I went to the Young Rider Europeans with Jessie McConkey, and obviously they won a medal there, and the juniors, and the ponies are not that far behind. In all of them, they're really coming through.
I think what's so exciting as well is, for such a small country compared to most of the other European nations or somewhere like America, how strong our depth of talent is, and how much that's evolved even in the last 10 years that I've been more involved in the industry. The size of classes that you would get for a Prix St George or a Grand Prix at a Premier League now in British dressage is enormous.
Yeah, they're massive.
And a few years ago that was less than half. So that shows the progress in the sport, it shows the interest in the sport, the better training, the better management of the horses, the number of riders that are achieving those levels. And for me, that's the exciting part.
Yep, the future's bright, the future's exciting. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me in the Fan Zone today. Hope this afternoon goes well.
Thank you.
And it's really lovely to have that discussion. And good luck
Thank
with the
you very much.
future for
Thank you
you
very
guys
much.
and the
Yeah.
venture, and keep on going. It's great. Let's get Britain on the map. Very
Absolutely.
much so.
Thank you.
And as I mentioned, 25 years of British dressage this year, and I can tell you about the British Dressage National Convention, which will take place on the 25th and 26th of November at Addington Equestrian. Charlotte Dujardin will be headlining the event. Lots of very, very special guests. What a great 2 days of celebration. And you can get tickets now on the British Dressage website. Discounts for BD members. They're like hotcakes. So don't delay. Get your tickets now, and it should be a wonderful, wonderful 2 days to celebrate this wonderful sport. I'll be back in about an hour's time with another very special guest. Hope you can join me then on the Fan Zone on this final day of the 2023 Le Mans National Dressage Championships.